Alright, in today's episode, we're going to talk about a simple concept that I think everyone can relate, whether you're pursuing a dream, learning a new skill, taking on a new job. You always hear the term consistency. And for us at JV Studios, consistency is a key attribute to our success over the years. Looking back at how the first videos we started, and to see the evolution of the work, we didn't know what we would be filming now, but it's just the idea of being consistent. So John, can we kind of talk about the early years and not too much into the past, but just, how you've seen consistency in our business and kind of how it's starting to pay off?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, having a vision and sticking to it, I think is one of the biggest things to success, staying focused and remaining calm, during the storm, I think is really crucial. It hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. We've had a great time of celebration, but we've also had a great time of defeat, sending out proposals and talking to clients and gigs that don't go through and, oh, that sounds so sweet, but we can't swing it, or, price is too high or price is too low, but I think the biggest thing that we did and do continue to this day is we don't give up.
And so consistency has been with us since day one. I mean, as John said, there's so many times, and I'm sure everyone can relate, where, you get a client that's looking for a proposal, and they're bidding, 3 to 5 companies that are all super competitive pricing. And, there's a lot of no's, and it definitely could be a letdown. I know even to this day, when you work super hard on a proposal and you really get it personalized and detailed just for a client to say, hey, we went a different direction, it crushes you, and I think in the past it really would eat us up and consume us, and then we'd be like, are we good? And then there's moments where you start should we get a side job, should we bartend somewhere, should we be a waiter? And I think we just said, hey, no matter what, we're going to just stay consistent, we're going to keep doing videos, we're not going to try to do like a different business and a whole different structure. It's like we will continue making videos, and we just threw ourselves in it, right? And I just think the consistency factor of running any business is just how you grow. If people want to know a recipe to success, I hear in athletes and anything, it's just show up every day. Show up, be consistent.
The whole thing of an object in motion stays in motion. So, there were times where, and even back when we were back in the first Bridgeport studio, where I was driving Uber, or I started working with a kombucha company. And because, again, just like, oh, hey, I have downtime, no one's getting back to me, I'm getting nervous, what do I do? And so I would go and I would find these other jobs to help occupy my time, clear my mind, make a little money. But, the thing that I realize now is, what if instead of me going to that job 15, 20 hours a week, I learned, or, I educated myself, or I kept networking, or I kept trying. And I think that's obviously the takeaway. Once I decided, okay, I'm really going to step away from that, I had to go through, where am I going to invest my time? Am I going to put it into someone else's business, or am I going to, take a couple of the defeats, take a couple punches, but get back up and say, you know what? I didn't get that proposal. What could I have done better? Let me do some research. Let me learn. Let me talk to mentors. Let me figure out, am I doing this wrong? Or, am I doing it right? And is it just the client's just not in it? So it's like, it is this balance, but the biggest thing is just, staying with it and, and just not giving up,
Yeah.
That's what I keep coming to.
Love that. And I think even people that start, maybe they find a new love for video, and they're like, oh my God, I see what you guys are doing. Like, I want to do it. Like, how can you teach me, or can you give me some lessons? And, it takes time. I'll never forget a huge mentor to us, Guy Bauer, an amazing director in Chicago. I'll never forget, he told me, there's like a 7-year chart where you think of almost like a stock or like an airplane taking off, right? Like that first 1 to 3 years, I remember he drew it on his dry erase board. Mm-hmm. It was like, there's like the airplane pretty much, it's on the terminal, it's the wheels are moving, you're going, right? Then you hit that 3 to 5 year mark, and then boom, right? They lift the wheels up, and now you're starting to soar, right? And then you hit that 7-year mark, and he's like, that 7-year mark is a pivotal at that moment, people know who your company is. You're getting referred business, you're getting repeat customers. And I'll never forget, because we were like maybe year 2, and like we'd be asking him for advice, and he'd always share. And he's like, guys, you're not doing anything wrong. Just stick with it. You need to just stay the course. And I think a lot of people, with Instagram, like, we get imposter syndrome. We see kids that maybe caught a lucky break and they only been doing it 2 years, and they're traveling all around the world and they're filming for big brands. And those stories happen. But I think as long as you stay consistent, I always look at the personal, look at what you were making a year ago and look at what you're making now. Look at the types of clients you were working with and now the ones you are currently. And so, that's something that's always stuck with us. And even growing up, like, I was the YouTube kid. I wanted to be a YouTube star, and I made videos, and I'll never, friends I went to high school with and some other peers would, I'd see them now, 8-7 years later, and they're like, wow, Vinny, like, I remember you used to make these videos and you would act in them and direct, and like you were the actor, and they were just cheesy witted videos. And now you guys are making like these, you guys are working on like big brands. Like, how did that happen? And honestly, it's really just, I just didn't stop making videos. And then you pair that with a partner like Johnny, who's like, hey, let's capitalize on our talents and package it to a business. Now we're a video production company, Yeah. And I think that's all it really is to it, is just, you stay the course, be patient, and back to staying focused. Another thing I think that really people resonate with is when, just like any other business, right? Business, as we started growing this business, you kind of realize that all these other businesses go through the same thing, right? They're just maybe something else. So a grocery store, right? They still have a staff, they have management, they have policies, they need to keep an inventory, right? They have their things similar to an auto mechanic shop, right? All these business people have very relative aspects. And when you go to a business that has been, hey, we've been in business for 40 years, 10 years, 20 years, you kind of like, they get that credit. You kind of get street credit, right? Because they're like, hey, you guys have been in the game. You guys have truly proved your worth. They always say, right, the first 5 years of a small business, they say that's like your window to fail, right? So if you could make it after that 5 years, you quote unquote are a successful business. But there's something about when you reach out to a business that has been in business for many years, you kind of feel like, hey, I'm buying a good product from them versus someone who's like, oh, I'm just getting started, right? So I think there's benefits of being consistent and kind of having a name. I mean, John, have you felt like, now where we're at, a lot of our businesses, we still get a lot of word of mouth, but it's like, you get repeat clients now. They're like, hey, these guys know what they're doing. They took care of me. I'm going to refer you. Can you shed some light on just how our consistency on a high level has just developed like high level relationships with people that are in the positions to make decisions to hire companies? Absolutely. I mean, the people that are hiring us, they're people that need help. They need support. They're in charge of, their boss comes to them and say, hey, I need you to make a video or find a team. They're saying, oh man, who can help me with this? And so by remaining consistent and staying in it, what comes to their head? Oh, I remember I met Johnny, or I met Vince, or JV Studios. We were on a shoot. Like, let me reach out to them and see if they can help me. And what the consistency is, we delivered a great product. We were friendly. We, exceeded expectations. We gave them, good service. And I think being consistent in that, along with just like good relationships and stuff, it keeps it going, And so, but on the other end, if you're not that type, if you have bad reputation, you treat people bad, well, that consistency will also follow you, Right.
Or
yeah. Oh yeah. And there's many times where, we have clients that, for example, I'm trying to think of the client. It was like almost like a 2-year relationship that you were fostering, right? And it was just like not the right time. And then like 2 years goes by and they're like, oh, John, like we spoke 2 years ago, like so happy to see you guys still in business. Like we have 3 videos we want to get done. So it's like being consistent, people will remember you. And so it's like as a feeling, like, you connect with people, and then years down the line, there's a product that aligns and they're like, wait, they're still doing it. Wow, they grown without my business. I'm going to hire them because they obviously are doing something. Yeah. And yeah, no, I love those moments when you get people, even meet people on the street, you know, and they're like, oh man, we connected at this concert, man, and now I own my own company. I'm looking for 2 videographers. Can you guys help me out? And it's like, you know, imagine, you know, looking for that business and you're like, they're out of business. What happened? Or there's no updated work, and you're kind of like, are they still in it? Are they not? So then you kind of start questioning, like maybe their priorities change. Maybe they're not trying to be this company anymore. So yeah, I just think consistency is a huge theme that's just played out in kind of where we are today. And
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of to tie into it, you know, because we got to add a little meat to this episode, you know, it's talking about networking, you know, and like meeting people. So, you know, you mentioned, yeah, we met that client, you know, we were talking, we spent all this time, and they said, you know, we're just not ready at this time. Now there's 2 options there. You could be, you know, you could be all upset about it. Oh, you know, they didn't hire us, you know, okay, whatever. Or you could say, hey, you know what? All is well. You let me know. We're here for you when you need us. And then 2 years down, we hold true to that word, you know, or anyone that's staying consistent say, hey, we're still here and let's make it happen. Like, no, not taking anything personal about it. You know, it's business. And so, you know, we're here to support, you know, other people's business. I think that's, you know, a consistent thing. Another thing that came to my head is like, you know, going through, I mean, we've been in it for 10 years. So, you know, I think what's the most valuable thing is it's not like, you know, doing, you know, it's learning. It's these things that we're talking about on this podcast. It's the studios, it's the relationships, it's the consistency, it's figuring out the hard times and figuring out the good times and how to find that balance or the counterbalance. And, you know, I think once you go through it one time, the next time you have to do it, it's easier, you know? So if I had to just stop for some reason right now, I don't know, the world says, hey, we're done with video. Well, my takeaway from this whole experience that I've had so far is I had 10 years of learning how to build a business. I can build, and that's a consistent factor in my life. I can build one business, I could build 2. And if this had to go down, you know, the knowledge that I have is I can build a business, you know, and having that, you know, I guess I'm on a producer end is like, you know.
They're invaluable skills that you can theoretically take anywhere.
Exactly.
And I feel like some of our clients that we've had, like we have almost 4 or 5 year clients now that have came back and have enjoyed the product, but have also enjoyed that customer service. And I think for us, as we are getting older and, you know, not too old, but, you know, like we're getting more experience and we have a couple more years on our belt running a business, you realize that the relationships you make with clients, they matter. And people remember the little things. It's always like one of those things, like if everything goes right, it's like, good, you did your job. But if one thing goes off, it kind of sticks out. And I think clients, you know, tend to rehire us because a lot of our productions they flow just flawlessly. And yeah, there's things that come up here and there, but the client feels taken care of. And in return, we get consistent work from them.
Yeah, it pulls them out of, you know, our clients, they're doing the same thing every day. They're trying to, you know, they're a marketing manager for this and they're doing the same thing on the same stuff. For us, it's always changing. And so what's cool is, you know, when we're on set with, you know, our clients, we get to give them a taste of our lifestyle. We get to give them a taste of, you know, what we bring to the table. And I think that has also been, it's just been consistent from day one. Yeah. It's not, hey, we're this type of company in 2015 and now 2018 we're completely different. It's the same people, same energy, same passion.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think even like looking back at some reviews, like if you go on our Google review page, right, you know, a lot of positive reviews, and then what you kind of see is a trend, like a review from 2018 and a review from now is like the energy on set was amazing. John and Vince really make you feel like you're taken care of. And I think we've kind of looked at that. We're like, wow, there's a common theme that people are saying. And a lot of it's like, it didn't feel like work. Yep. And, but it's like, yeah, like you said, remaining that. So if they're hiring you in 1 year and another, and then like, yeah, you kind of flip the switch on them. They're like, whoa, I hired you guys because I had some fun. Like, I want to have some fun. Obviously, I always go back to it. There's so many talented video production companies in Chicago. Like, I can name off 10 people in Chicago and even around the world that create amazing work. They're stellar creatives. And so there's always like, how can you separate that, right? And I think establishing those high level relationships with the clients over time, when you're consistently working with them, you know, they get bids from all these companies. And yes, budget's always a thing, but there's ways around it. I personally, if I was hiring a company and I got 3 bids, right? And one was astronomically high, so I was like, that one's out. And 2 were kind of like in a competition, right? If I've worked with that company consistently over the years, and I'm like, hey, I'm not really ready to, like, I'm gonna rehire that company because I've had a great experience. Who wouldn't? Just like you kind of have your set people, right? You have certain carriers and brands of equipment you buy because you trust them. They're consistently putting out good products, right? And I think getting to a high level relationship with a client is what consistently will bring you back to them, because they have nothing but good things to say about you. And it's more breaking that mold of like, yes, they know we make a great product and we have the gear that everyone's using and it's in the standards, but what's consistent is the attitude, the energy, and the vision.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And I think it's super important.
Yeah. And I know we're coming up to a close here. And so we're talking about clients, we're talking about this, and I want to bring back to a story when I believe we were still living in Tinley, and see if you remember this. We were at an ice cream parlor. And it was me and you, we were on our bikes doing our thing, first Studio One, and we met this old man. And he said, well, you know, your first million's the easiest million to make. After that, you learn the lesson and you keep going. But he also said, you know, when it comes down to clients, you got to look at them like a sheep. And there's 2 things you can do with that sheep. You can, you know, it could be $1 billion company, right? And that sheep comes down with all this beautiful wool, and here's the sheep, and hey, they need a video or any service. And you say, okay, cool, I'm gonna take this sheep for everything it's got, and I'm gonna skin him. And you take all the hair off, and you know, yeah, you make some money, they get a video, but then they walk away and they have no fur. Or you take the client, you see them as a real person, you understand what they need, what the value is, being truthful with it. You come in and it's kind of, okay, well, we could do this, shave a little bit. We could do this, shave a little bit, but they keep coming back because you're not taking advantage of them.
Yeah, I love that. And I agree. I think that's been a model holding to us. Like they're, you know, just because they are, and I think people get kind of caught up in that. And it's one of those things you realize, like, because the company is $1 billion global company does not mean they have $1 billion budget. And I think there's a contradiction. Yes, those companies definitely tend to have higher budgets because, yeah, they make the money, but not all of them do. So you can't, just because they're a huge brand, you can't throw a luxury tax on that, you know. And people have different opinions and stuff. And I just think what's worked for us is like you stay modest in everything you do, consistent, feed them a good price that feels good for them. And once you kind of develop that relationship, chances are the budgets will increase and they'll just say, great, approved. And I think that's kind of what has happened to us. It's like you win their trust, you get a great relationship, they consistently give you work, and it's just a slow, just going back to that 7-year graph. It's just going to tick up, and once you hit that jet stream, be ready for it, you know?
Yeah.
So on that note, we just want to thank you all for tuning in. Hope you got some key takeaways. Consistency is key in life and balance in business. And we appreciate you guys tuning in.